What's up everybody, my name is Wyatt and today I'm going to be showing you how to take a photo that looks like this and turn it into something that looks more like this. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I am going to say about this is that you need to make sure that you are shooting in RAW if possible. If you own a camera that can shoot in RAW and you're not shooting in RAW, then that defeats the purpose of owning a camera that shoots in RAW. I don't really know all the technical specifications about why RAW works the way it does, but basically it means that you have more data in your photos. So for example, if you overexpose your image and your highlights are completely blown out, with a RAW photo, you can get those highlights and get those details back with a little bit of editing. The editing program that I personally use is Lightroom CC or Lightroom Mobile. I use it on my iPad, I use it on my phone, and it's a great way to quickly go in and completely change the look of your photos. So without further ado, let's hop into Lightroom and I'll show you what I do to turn my photos around. So the first thing that I do whenever I go to edit my photos in Lightroom Mobile is I go down to the optics tab and I enable the lens corrections. Most of the time, this doesn't do a whole lot to the photo other than straighten it up a little bit and remove any vignetting that may be in the corners. After my lens corrections are enabled, I then go into the cropping mode and crop the photo to get what I want in the frame. So for example, with this photo, we're gonna take it and our subject Kindle, she is a little to the left and I want her centered in the frame. So we're gonna center her up, hit done, and bam. Now our photo, the framing of it is changed a little bit. Instead of our subject being over to the left hand side of the photo, she's now in the center. Now from here, what I do is I start to really look at the photo and see what's wrong with it and what I want to change to make it look better. So in this specific photo, you can see the rocks behind our subject are completely blown out. It's just a bunch of white garbage. And what we're going to do is go into our light and pull the exposure down a little bit, and you can already see we're getting a little bit of detail back. We don't want to underexpose too much because we still want our subject to be properly exposed. So I'm only going to go down by about half of a stop here, and we will call that good. Then from there, we are going to go into our highlights. And in this particular example, I'm going to pull my highlights all the way down. And as you can see, what this does is it's making those rocks a lot less blown out. There's still some areas that are completely blown out. And unfortunately, we have lost the detail in those areas, but it's already looking better than what we started out with. From here, I'm going to take the shadows. Usually with the shadows bar, I play with it, see what I like, see if I like them a little bit darker or a little bit brighter. In this particular scenario, most of our shadows are in the background in the trees, and I want to see it a little bit better, so we are going to boost the shadows up a little bit. Once we're done with the lighting of the photo, I move on to the color of the photo. Now in this particular photo, our white balance is completely off. Everything looks just green. I did have an ND filter on. That's part of the reason for the color distortion, but I'm also pretty sure that I didn't have my white balance set properly whenever taking this photo. This photo was taken during the day, so we're just going to change our white balance to daylight. As you can see, the color temperature is set to 5500 Kelvin now, and everything's starting to look a little bit more natural. So this is the before and this is the after. So we haven't done too much, but already the photo has turned around quite a bit from what we started with. While we're in the color tab, I'm going to go ahead and bump up the vibrance in this photo a little bit, just to get a little bit more details in the color, and boost the saturation. Not too much. I'm only gonna go up by about 4 on the saturation. I don't want my colors to be too saturated because we are going to do something to change the color a little bit later on. If you want to edit specific colors, you can go up to the color wheel and say I want my greens to be a little bit more green. We're going to move that hue over a little bit, bring up the saturation and the luminance just a tad, and as we can see, the green hasn't changed a whole lot, but it does look a little bit better than what it did. Now, one thing about this photo that I don't really like is just how muddy and nasty that the water looks. Unfortunately, that is how the water actually looks in real life, but thankfully, this is editing and we can make the water look however we want. So what we are going to do is we are going to go into the selective edits tab and we are going to create a selective edit. We're going to pull it up here and we're only going to cover the water. I'm going to bring this down, pull this up. And I always like to zoom in to make sure that you're not getting, you're not changing anything that you don't want to change. You can use a brush tool. I am editing on an iPad and I don't have an Apple Pencil, so the brush tool, I'm not super accurate with it, just using my fingers. So we're just gonna stick with this one for now. And that looks pretty good there. So what I'm going to do to change the color of this water, we're gonna go into the color tab and we're actually gonna pull the temperature down a little bit. And that's gonna pull some of that orange tint out of the water, add more of a blue tint, and now the water looks a lot more clear. And if you want to add a little bit of blue to the water, we can pull this over here, come up just a little bit. And now our water looks nice, crystal clear, and has a little bit of a blue tint and just overall looks a lot more fresh than what it did before. Once we're done with the selective edits, we can go ahead and close that out. And now we are going to move on to the last step that I do, which is the color profile. So I always like to edit everything myself before I apply any filters onto it. And say what you want about using filters. I think the Adobe filters that they have are fairly good. And they just provide a unique look to your photos. The filter that I have personally been liking here recently is called Modern 9. What it does is it basically pulls out a little bit of the color, kind of flattens everything out, makes it look a little dull, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So overall, again, judging from what we started with to what we have now, we have some pretty drastic improvements. And just to give you guys an idea of what you can really do in Lightroom, here's a couple more before and after examples of some photos that I have edited. So as you can see, Lightroom can be a great tool for completely turning around your photos. Whether you did overexpose, underexpose, forgot to set your white balance, whatever the case may be, Lightroom has ways to fix it. I wish Lightroom would let me edit in a beard. This is looking janky. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Are you guys using any other photo editing apps? This, like I said, is my personal choice. You can use it on your iPad, you can use it on your phone, and there's no better way to quickly turn around a photo than using Lightroom. Also, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this setup for filming my videos. In my first two videos, it was kind of the same setup. This one's a little bit different. Which one do you guys like better? I'm just playing around with different areas of my house, trying to find a good place to shoot these videos. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. I don't care, it's 2020. I've seen it all. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Stay tuned to the channel. I'm gonna be posting more and more. I will have another video out next week. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.